Isn't it? Wasn't it? Hello. It's Wednesday. What's happening? It's Wednesday and I'm here because I wasn't here last night because things went horribly wrong. Very close to showtime. Yes, me PC blue screened and it all went horribly wrong. And then it was till about midnight until I got it fixed. But there you go. Tonight I've got another guest tonight. This chap. No, 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 no. Ryhdian, isn't it? Wasn't it?
Definitely is, isn't it?
Yes. I'm just going to mute myself. There you go. Had to cough, so I had to mute. Otherwise, you'd have got cough. Yes. Who's in chat tonight? Mike B. Good evening. Forgot to turn the volume down. Neil, what you like? Hello, Bernice. And I'm just refreshing to see who else is in there. Sav's in the house. Old Git, hello Bob. Chief is in the house. Dave the Rayon, Tony P, Tony C, Tom Long. Hi-Fi Stud is in there and is also over there in my other monitor. Mark and VB and Graham. Yes, hello. And me, because I'm not actually logged into chat. I do look at it, but I can't really go down to my laptop keyboard and type stuff. It's just too much. Yes. So we've got loads of stuff tonight. Absolutely loads. We have a bit of ET from Mr. Dave Kitson with a rather snazzy dripper, what he picked up at Ecig Expo. Got some news stories, and we've got stuff. Yeah, it's all going to happen. How are you, Ryhdian? Because you weren't on last night because you were supposed to be on tonight. So you're on tonight, but not on the right show.
I'm getting used to not being on Wednesdays anymore. It's like it's enough being on the team show on a Monday, and then it's like, it's Wednesday. Oh right, Matt's done a Tuesday. All right, oh wait, I'm on a Wednesday still. Surprise! It's all good.
You're surprised.
It's all fun.
I was as surprised as you because I only found out when I watched last night's show today. Because no one said anything to me. So if I hadn't watched last night's show, then the message you sent me earlier in our team Skype would have been a bit weird. Like, what are we doing tonight? Well, I don't know. What are we doing tonight?
Yeah, so unfortunately you have me by virtue of Matt saying so last night.
Yes. Confused? You will be. After this edition of Vaper Scene. Yes, if everyone is old enough to remember Soap. Yes, that was a good show. Anyway, Max Drum, have you missed something? I don't know. Possibly. The fact that I'm here and Ryhdian is here, even though he's supposed to be and I'm not, yes, is a little bit confusing. But there you go. Yes. Anyway, I make it about... It is Dave. It's Dave Dawn in my ear. You're not actually... I don't think you're going through my mixer, to be fair. Yeah, no one can hear what you're saying. I could put you through, actually. Are you sure? Dave is in the control room, doing the control room stuff. Yes. So it's all good. And Sav says, refresh if you have no vid. And I say it every week. You don't know I've said that, but refresh if you've got no vid.
It's like wave if you can't see me.
Scream if you want to go louder. Yeah. We're counting in. Okie dokie. Here we go. We're live. Well, good evening again. Yes, Dave says we are live, proper, at 9 o'clock. So, yes, we are live, and there is the little sting. Oh, yes, indeed. So it is, in fact, Wednesday the 8th of July, 2013. It should have been Tuesday the 7th of July, which it was yesterday. But as you were, if you were here yesterday, you'd have seen that you didn't see me, but you saw Matt. But you didn't see this man Ryhdian, who was supposed to be today, but he wasn't. He's today, and no, it wasn't yesterday. And yes, there you go. Yes, I had some severe issues just before showtime last night. Everything was set, and then my PC crashed, and when I got it back, things were just not working. So I had to then take the evening out to fix it all to be here tonight. Oh, the joys. You'd never know I was an IT engineer, would you? But there you go. So, yes, myself and Mr. Man are here. And that looks really loud, that microphone. I'm going to turn it down slightly. Yes, we're here tonight, and we've got some bits and pieces. But shall we have the titles first, Ryhdian? What do you reckon?
Yes, it's always good to start with the titles.
It is indeed. I'm going to turn you down as well because it just looks really loud all of a sudden. Okay, yes, we're going to kick off with some titles. Oh yes. Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids. And yes, we're live. I was just trying to hear everything as it was going on, but this I don't know. Anyway, there you go. Those were the titles. This is Vaper Scene, and tonight I'm joined by Mr. Ryhdian Man. And apparently Graham said his volume is a bit weird. Am I really loud? Is that what's going on? Is it really loud? Let me know in chat, please.
Or am I just loud?
I think everyone's loud. I don't know what's going on. All my meters on this screen look like they're really loud, but when we were just checking everything in the studio setup type thing, it sounded okay. But there you go. Yes, so please let us know what the situation is with the sound. Yes, while I'm looking. And Bernice Evans says, open a tinny and be damned. Yeah, I did that already, Bernice. It's here. Yes, it looks a bit like it's something else, but it's not. It's actually cider. Yeah, it'd be a bit of cider. Yes. So let's kick off. Let's kick off with some. No, half I said no, it's not. Good, marvelous. Let's kick off with some stories. Here we go. Now this was from the Daily Mail. It's actually from last week. It's the end, 24th of June. I found it earlier on. Schools urged to ban vaping as pupils take up fruit-flavoured e-cigarettes as alternative to smoking. Good, is what I say about that. But anyway, head teachers are under pressure to ban vaping in schools before the law is changed to make it illegal for under 18s to buy cigarettes. There's a growing concern that pupils are getting around long-standing rules on smoking by using fruit-flavoured e-cigarettes between lessons, as opposed to behind the bike shed. And now I'm getting told I'm quiet, so I'm going to turn my mic up again. Oh dear me. Okay, so the link can someone from the team put into chat, please? Which I shoved into our chat earlier on. Second page here. Harris Greenwich is, parents and students are reminded that vaping or e-cigarettes are banned from school and will be sanctioned in the same way as smoking. Now, let's come back to me a sec. If you're going to treat it the same way as smoking, then you're missing a big point here. Because what would you rather the kids did? Go behind the bike sheds during the break and smoke a fag, or use something that's 99.9% safer? It's pretty simple, don't you think, Ryhdian?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think well, the facts and figures that they've used there aren't exactly in vaping's favour, but it's, as you said. But if it's school policy, let it be school policy. I'd rather kids be vaping than smoking. Simple.
Yes. So would I. And it does go on. There's another page to that. Mrs. Morgan wants to see similar bans implemented across the country. A source close to the Education Secretary said, "This is something Nikki is concerned about, and she is clear that schools should be banning them in the same way as normal cigarettes. From October, it will be illegal to sell e-cigarettes and refills to anyone under the age of 16, although we believe that's a typo. It will also be an offence for an adult to buy an e-cigarette on behalf of a child." Anyway, the whole story is in that link, so have a look. There's pictures too, but I take the pictures out because they're generally copyrighted. So, yes. And apparently, the sound is good now. Marvellous. It's one of those things, isn't it? Because kids are going to either smoke or use an e-cigarette if they're that way inclined. And if they're told they can't do it, they're going to do it more. Most reputable vendors will not sell to a minor. That is a person under the age of 18 and not a person who digs for coal. Just saying. However, there are a lot of market vendors that I do believe are selling to anyone who's got money, basically, and they're not really bothered about who they sell to. And that's an issue. But that's an issue for trading standards. That's not an issue for the schools banning people from using them. I would much rather a person of a young age, or 16, 17, whatever, takes up vaping rather than smoking, or switches from smoking to vaping rather than stay on cigarettes. I mean, that's just what it needs to be. Ryhdian, I'm coming to you while I look at chat.
Right, okay. Yeah, I completely echo what you say there. I agree with what you said about the typo. The UK government are bringing in, same with the Welsh government, about the prohibition of sale to under 18s. It's like that's already enforced by most of the retail community that we know, but it's the issue for trading standards. I have no clue why that line is linked to a story about schools, because it. But then, why would a school have this sort of policy and then have it linked to anything to do with public health based policy, rather than we don't want you smoking cigarettes or using e-cigarettes? I can't see why it's linked, personally.
Well, however tenuous the links generally get, they'll use whatever links they can to make the stories look as negative as possible towards e-cigarettes, won't they? That's basically what the press do. They're never going to do it in a positive light unless there's something in it for them, I don't think. And it's something that needs to be changed. We need to be more educating these people more, so they're actually putting out the right information. But also, schools really need to be engaged with people like Granny Louisa, who is clued up and knows what she's talking about and is offering her services in Leicestershire, in the stop smoking services, that is, and using e-cigarettes as part of that. So I think what needs to happen is some sort of engagement with schools. How that happens, don't know, but certainly we need to do something there. We'll shift on from that, and Dave Dawn said in chat, let me just scroll back up if it's still there. Something about choking the chicken behind the bike sheds was the norm in his day. Yes. Well, I do have a little story about that, strangely enough. I'm in two minds whether I'm going to show this, but I saw this on Facebook yesterday. And this is from UMass, the University of Massachusetts. And apparently, masturbation in the showers is a violation of the University of Massachusetts Housing Code. And the shower drains are not designed to handle semen. Yes. And it's costing them hundreds of thousands of dollars to clean it out. So you've been told, do it in your room if you're watching in Massachusetts. I've got to find these stories. It's crazy stuff. Because we're going to go on to something a little bit more serious now. The whole 5 pawns juice debacle is still running thick and fast across the net. And today I noticed that e-cigarette direct are now taking 5 pawns off their shelves until they have more information, and I wonder how many more people are doing the same. I was listening to Russ on ClickBang from his show last night. I listened to it earlier on today, and he was talking about this as well. And he was also talking about this, which is this story that's on Reddit, and I've blanked out the expletive. This is somebody who has created this huge blog on Reddit, basically slamming Suicide Bunny, Wolfpack, Vape Wild, with all sorts of allegations. No proof, mind you, but all sorts of allegations. And Russ was talking on his show last night, and I haven't got the link, unfortunately. Find that if you could look at Vapor's VP Live and look at last night's show. And he was saying the same as I feel, really, that you can't go around saying these things unless you've got the proof to back it up. The person who's done this particular blog on Reddit probably will never be found, and we don't know who it is. It could be a competitor. It could be some of the anti-vaping ants that are out there trying to stir up the muck, or it could be entirely true. Don't know. But unless we see proof, you know, you shouldn't be bandying it around and saying, oh yeah, this is true because I saw it on this particular blog, because it could well be a load of rubbish. Did you see that, Ryhdian?
I didn't quite catch it, but I've been trying to keep up with the story about 5 pawns and the diacetyl and AP publications. With regards to e-cigarette direct, they were pretty rapid in their response, because they're an ECITA member, and they've been advised, along with other ECITA members, to take a close look at their 5 pawns if they stock them, and any other American juices that currently don't have testing data. So at the moment, I know e-cigarette Smoker's Angel have taken it off their shelves. Cloud9 were the ones to instigate it in the UK, and I'm sure plenty will follow on. Like a couple of the Cardiff based shops that I go to have 5 pawns. I just made them aware of these things. Take a customer service risk reduction approach.
Yes.
Make a judgment on the data, not the influx of 5 pawns will kill you. It's got lots of AP in it. But we don't want to make these judgments on hearsay. We want it made on facts and figures. Absolutely.
Facts and irrefutable evidence is what you need to base your decisions on. For the moment, I mean, I was offered some 5 pawns at the Ecig Expo, I have to say, but I didn't take any, strangely enough. And this was before this had broken, or before I heard about it. So, yes. Now, whether or not they're going to be inundated at the weekend, because they are listed as being at Vaper Expo this weekend, and let's just touch on that now, because this is the event. It's on Saturday and Sunday at the NEC Birmingham, and there are some links that will go into chat for this. I've also got there's a site map And you can see on the site map I've done a little yellow and orange arrow which points you to where it is. It's actually here in the pavilion between the Genting Arena and Hall 1. So that is where it is. And myself and Mr. Dave Dawn and Mr. Dave Kitson and Mr. Matt Garish and Chiefy Keefy will be in attendance on the stand. And also I am led to believe that Demetrius and Phil Basado will also be in attendance. I'm not sure if it's both days or just a Saturday or whatever, but they are winging their way across the Atlantic, I believe. Yes, so if you didn't meet them at Vape Jam, you can get a chance to meet them and come and see us and get a free pen. We've got thousands of them. Dave wants rid of them. No, come and see us on the stand. We're in the Bloggers Corner. Yes, which is at the bottom end of the event, near opposite the VIP bar. That's where we're going to be positioned once we get set up. And I spoke to Lee yesterday from Vaper Expo because there had been some discussions on forums that vaping wasn't allowed. This is the official response on the Vaper Expo website. We've had a few people asking if vaping is allowed at the Vaper Expo. The answer is, of course it is. It's been brought to our attention that a select few people have been trying to fabricate such lies in an attempt to dent our visitor numbers. We can safely say that despite the rumours being spread, ticket sales are flying out and is set to be a sellout event, and we warmly welcome everybody that is coming. The NEC don't allow vaping as standard in the halls, but with us hosting a vaping exhibition, we clearly covered this issue with them prior to booking the venue. And they allow vaping in designated areas at the NEC, and the pavilion is a designated area for this event. That is the information that I have. What they weren't wanting is people just going around blowing vapor everywhere, cloud chasing, all that kind of stuff. That has now changed, and the situation is you can vape in the pavilion. When you go outside the pavilion into another area, that might be a different matter. But where the event is being held in the pavilion, you can vape. So that's that bit. Yes. Now, I think maybe we should go to the ads. What do you reckon, Ryhdian?
Yeah, I think it's about that time.
Yeah, it's about that time. Oh no, before we do, we'll go to this. This story, which is kind of started by this Addy Farrell. This was passed to me yesterday from somebody who doesn't even vape. And apparently they just returned from neighbour's memorial service. She died of suffocation. The oil from the vapor cigarette coated the follicles in her lungs. The doctors at Mayo could not remove the oil. Absolute load of chuff. Absolute load of chuff. If you see that posted, if someone shares it with you, send it back and tell them to stick it where the sun don't shine, because it's absolute rubbish, and those kind of stories irritate the bejesus out of me. Anyway, that being said, let's go to the ad break, which is coming up right now. See you in 2. Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Award-winning service and products from cloud9vaping.co.uk.
To Vaper Scene on Vaper Trails TV. Vaper Scene is sponsored by Healthy Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids. And welcome back to part 2 of this week's show, it being Wednesday the 8th of July. Now then, a bit of ET that I was going to show in the first half, or the first section of the show, I didn't show, and it was about this. Now this you would have seen briefly on last week's show, on the little bit of ET I did for the Ecig Expo, and it's the Blaze by Atom, which is a sub ohm device. Now, Dave Dawn showed the Vaper, which is the next level up with an 1100 milliamp hour battery. This is a, I believe, I think it is, yes. And I've put together a little bit of VT, so it's going to come at you right now. If you were watching last Tuesday's show, you'd have seen this little kit on the Ecig Expo video with Sam from Atom. This is the Blaze, and the next mod up in the range is the Vaper, which Dave Dawn looked at on the Haze Hour. Let's look at the Blaze. We'll take it out of the box. Rustle, rustle, and there we go. There's your little box. Save the world one atom at a time. Quite funky. In your little box, you get a little branded cleaning cloth. You get some stickers which you can use to adorn your device, should you wish. You get your little Atom battery, the Blaze battery. You get your USB charging cable, which I've not actually used, I've used a different one. But it is a nice thick, substantial cable, which makes a difference. It's not thin and weedy, like some you may see. We'll put that back in. You get a spare atomizer, which I've opened, but I've not used. And then you get your user manual. You also get your user manual for your coils. Yeah. So we'll put that back in for the minute. Put all that back in the box. And we'll show you the device. Now, it looks, to all intents and purposes, like an Ego battery with a CE4 type device on the top. Can't get it out. Got it in before, can't get it out. There we go. Now, I have charged this, and it is also pass-through. Let me zoom in a little bit for you so you can see a little bit better. There we go. So, here's the actual battery itself, and it looks and feels like an Ego style battery. It's 5 click on, 5 click off, and it flashes orange, and then you depress your button in order to vape. And this is the tank that goes with it. Now, as Dave showed on the Haze Hour, if you look inside, and if I angle it right and zoom in a little bit more, you will see the difference between that and a normal Ego, and hopefully it's going to focus for me. Just about there. So you can see there's actually quite a long pin on this device. So it's not designed to fit on a normal Ego battery. It will fit on this battery. Now, I did try this on the DNA 40 with an adapter that came with the curve to turn the curve into an Ego style battery, and it doesn't work. So it doesn't fit a normal battery. So like I said, 5 click on, 5 click off. There is no difference in the voltage. It pumps out the same voltage, which is 4.5 volts. And it changes colour and goes red as the power dissipates. You don't get a huge amount of time. It's not going to last all day, guys, because it is pumping out a lot of power, a low resistance, to fire the top section, and it also does get a tad warm in this area, which is to be expected. Let me show you the actual Clearamizer type device as well. On the bottom section there, you've got an airflow which you can change. When you open it up, this is the atomizer head, and if you look carefully at the bottom there, you can see there is a little section that you can change around. Now that is a juice flow changing device, so you can turn the juice up or down. Now this is obviously when you're filling it. Once you've filled it, you can't do it. It needs to be done before you fill it. Sam recommends that you keep that on full, so you're getting plenty of juice in, and then you just fill like you would a normal Clearamizer up to the line there. Now I did have some juice in here, which is now in this syringe, so I'm just going to squeeze that back in, and it holds about 3 mils in total. I forget what I've got in here actually, but it is quite a low milligram strength juice. I have been vaping on a lot of juices recently that I've got from Vaper Expo, but also from Ecig Expo last week, and I'll kind of give you some feedback on those juices as we go on. But this juice, I forget what it is. I think it's Mad Mike's Last Cowboy, if my memory serves me correctly. So there we go, we're all back together. Now this is already soaked in because I'd been using this device before I put it back in, just to unpack it so I could show you. I've got the airflow on full open, and you saw there I had the juice flow also on full open, and we are ready to rock and roll. So let's have a little vape. And there you go, you can see it does produce rather nicely and rather loudly as well, because that was right near my microphone. You wouldn't think that a device this small would produce that much vapor and be able to sub ohm, but they've got the technology in that battery, they've got the circuitry in that battery in order to do this. And like Dave said as well, you can't put this on another device. They have thought of that, so that's all good. The USB pass-through is handy if you're running out of power, but like I said, it does get warm, and I'm touching it now and it is warm, and that will be the case. You know, your sub-ohm tanks, you don't feel how warm they get generally because they're quite large and you're not feeling the coil area, but that is reasonably warm. So you're not going to be sub-ohming on this all day, because A, it'll probably get too hot, and B, the battery will run out. But as a nice little device, just to give it a go, it's not bad, and it's probably one of these ones that's worth leaving in the car. I wouldn't particularly leave juice in the Clearo all the time, especially in warm weather, because things tend to leak in the warm weather. Even the sub-tanks, I've found, if I leave it in my cup holder, I go out and do what I need to do and then come back to it because I've got another device in my pocket, sometimes my sub-tanks leak in the warm weather, but in the cold they're fine. We'll have a closer look in the studio, and you can see it in action, although it will mess up my green screen, but hey, there you go. So that's the Atom. At the moment, the only place I know that it's going to be available from is Ecig in London, and you saw them with the Underground series of juices on the video last week at Ecig Expo. But we'll see if any of these are on show at the weekend at Vaper Expo at the NEC. Yeah, so that is the first device I have for you today. We've got another one coming up after the break. So let's go back to the studio. And we are back to me in the studio, and I have the box here, the Blaze kit, and it's got plenty of blurb on the back that I didn't actually tell you when I was recording that bit of VT. The powerful Sub Ohm OCX 100 chipset can power anything from 0.5 to 3 ohms. Protects a tank against overheating and charges the battery safely while offering consistent performance with the pass-through charging feature. And the Inferno tank, it says it's a fire-breathing sub-ohm tank that leaves vapor trails like burning village. Inferno is crafted with high-performance polycarbonate resin, allowing a smooth, resilient and shatterproof design that keeps a constant temperature even when running smouldering hot in the core. Yes, now, as I mentioned in that VT, it does get fairly warm if you've been using it for a while. In fact, I've been toking on it during that VT and it's a tad warm now. But it's got about nearly a mil of juice in it. I'll give it a little toke for you. I might disappear because vapor and green screen technology do not mix well, but I'll show you anyway. Now, that's not bad for a little device, I have to say. And the flavour, it does bring the flavour out quite nicely, and I forget what this is. I did mention it in the VT, but I forget what juice it is. It is rather nice. Couple of caveats, really. A couple of times I've had a mouthful of juice. Maybe I didn't leave it. I leave it for a second before I started vaping, so maybe I hadn't left it long enough. I kind of went and then pressed it at the same time, so that's probably why I got a mouthful of juice. And the second thing is it does get a tad warm. But for a kind of first gen sub-ohm device, if you like, it's not bad at all. And Dave and I were really surprised when we first saw them on the stand at Ecig Expo. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And like I said, I did test this on other things and it didn't work. I even put a sub tank on it, the same resistance, and it didn't have it. It wasn't having it at all. So from that side of things, fairly good. Now you're not watching this, are you, Sav? Rid. So I can't ask you to comment really. The second thing I was going to show you in the second half, which is now the third half, I'm not going to show you for a couple of weeks. I've recorded it, but you're going to see it in a couple of weeks. So yes, it is rather good. So have a quick look in chat. What do you think of the concept, Ryhdian? I'm just going to come to you while I look at chat.
The concept's good, but like Sav's concern on the Haze Hour about it firing and possibly not firing on ego type batteries, and that's been proven, so that's really good. I hope that if they do get into shops, that some retailers realize that they're not actually first time devices, because they're sub-ohm devices, even though they look like possibly looks like a C4 and an ego from a distance. That's the only concern that I have personally, but I guess that's up to the education of the vendor to make sure that it's not given to a first time switcher, because sub-ohm does take a different experience. It's like it took me a long time to get onto sub-ohm compared to others. So the concept's there.
Yeah.
It's a lot more mobile than a iStick 50 and a sub tank, because you can top pocket it or put it on a lanyard, I presume. So it's easier to carry around, but hopefully it's not going to be one of those back pocket jobs. Sit on it and easily break.
Yes, I've done that before. In fact, my original lava tube I had in my pocket, and I got it in the car, and the tank kind of caught and it pulled the end off. But there you go. I'll be taking it to Vaper Expo. So if you come in to see us on the stand, I'll have it with me so you can have a look, and you can have a toke on it if you so wish. I've got no germs, honest. I might even find some, kind of top condom things to go on top. So yes, the Blaze from Atom. Interesting for a first kind of entry-level sub-ohming thing without having to rebuild stuff once you know what you're on about. I don't think somebody going into a shop and getting this as a first device would be any good, as Ryhdian said there. Let's go to another bit of ET, because I've got 2 more bits of ET for you. One of them's quite long from Mr. Kitson, which is rather good. But at the Ecig Expo, we were talking with a lot of the vendors, and Giorgio from House of Liquid had a little chat with Dave about the TPD. Yeah, have a little look at this.
So Giorgio, nice to meet you here
Nice meeting you.
at this rather splendid exhibition. I'm told that you've got expertise in the TPD and how that's going to relate to juice availability, cartridge availability, battery availability. What's your understanding of where we're at? Where is it going to be?
Expertise, I don't. I'm not an expert. However, obviously, you know, having one of the oldest companies in the market in the UK, I had to learn what is going to happen. So I really searched it as much as possible to see what is going to happen. Now, as far as my understanding goes, first of all, I will start by saying that we need regulations. There is no question about it that this industry needs regulations, guys. The problem is that the regulations that they force into us, because this is a forcing, is I can only describe them as stupid. And I'm pretty sure that even the same people that they actually enforcing and actually signed these regulations, now they know that they signed something stupid. They have realized. I mean, let's put the example of one simple example. They have banned cross sales between European states, guys.
You get to go to the main one instead.
Hello, hold on a second, Ryhdian. Sorry about that. I did another version of that BT with the sound on both channels. So let me just sort that for you, and then we'll have that instead. I do apologise. I'll just change that and change that and change that. This is what it's like, you know, it's live. Everything's good. Right, here we go. We're going to go again, and you'll get sound on both channels.
So Giorgio, nice to meet you here
Nice meeting you.
at this rather splendid exhibition. I'm told that you've got expertise in the TPD and how that's going to relate to juice availability, cartridge availability, battery availability. What's your understanding of where we're at? Where is it going to be?
Expertise, I don't. I'm not an expert. However, obviously, you know, having one of the oldest companies in the market in the UK, I had to learn what is going to happen. So I really searched it as much as possible to see what is going to happen. Now, as far as my understanding goes, first of all, I will start by saying that we need regulations. There is no question about it that this industry needs regulations, guys. The problem is that the regulations that they force into us, because this is a forcing, is I can only describe them as stupid. And I'm pretty sure that even the same people that they actually enforcing and actually signed these regulations, now they know that they signed something stupid. They have realized. I mean, let's put the example of one simple example. They have banned cross sales between European states, guys. Basically, if you think about it, this is so illegal that it's scary. It's a joke. How can you ban cross sales between European Union members when the whole European Union was created for that reason?
Yes, it was originally the common market.
It's basically, you know, kind of like how can actually these people vote on something like that? This it will not stand in any European court. I'm pretty sure. Now the problem is that who's going to take them to European court, and how long is going to take that the whole process to come through? So basically, we're ending up having to, in a way, swallow the bad pill, you know, and almost do nothing about it, I'm afraid.
Well, Totally Wicked does have their challenge to Article 20 going through the court system. We believe in October of this year. Is it your thought that that's going to succeed? And if it does succeed, what do you think will happen then?
Well, there is a very good chance. First of all, I applaud them that they're doing. and it's a good chance that they will succeed. However, what I do believe is that it will be delay and delay. I don't know the exactly way that is going to happen, but I'm pretty sure that even if they win now, they will have to push them to the next level and to the next level. European Union are famous on that kind of stuff. They can bring it back 10 years before they reach the final decision.
Yes.
Meanwhile, for 10 years, the whole thing, it will become almost like the fact, that the de facto, you know? And by that time, it's gonna be almost forgotten, let's put it that way, you know? Because all of us, in order to survive as industry, we will have to adjust into that, to being. So in a way, it will become a fact of life. So in a way, yes and no. And I will say again, we need regulations. This industry, I mean, just like any other industry, I'm saying everywhere that when you go outside and buy a bottle of Coke or a lighter, for example, you know that this product has passed certain standards, and you know it's going to work, and you know that it was made and somebody actually in this country has checked it out. Well, it's not the same with our industry for the moment. Anybody can do whatever he wants, can claim whatever he does. You buy products from abroad or whatever, that basically you open them and they don't work in 2 days. It happened to me many times. And I'm pretty sure, Dave, that it has happened to you. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, it
about
has, yes, yes.
Well, basically, this has to stop somehow. But let's have regulations. Let's have strict regulations, but not stupid things. You know, they do. I give you another example, guys. They do the thing with a leaking-proof system.
Yes.
Now, these guys, European Union minds, vote on a system that they didn't know actually what voting for. The moment they did it, they realized that what exactly it is themselves. And what they did is that they appointed a research company to actually see if it's possible to be done after they have voted on it.
Yes.
I mean, think about it. After they have voted,
It's passed into law, but they don't know how they're going to do
Yeah.
it. And there is no way of creating a leak-proof filling system.
well, I don't want to get there if it's possible or not. You know, I'm not a scientist, but I can say this, however, that this research company came back to them, and I received an email on Friday, which basically goes say to them that we need time. So now the next time they're going to speak about it, European Union, about a leak-free system, is June 2016. So that means, for us, June 2016, they're going to be the next time European Union it will actually speak, you know, will receive the research from that.
That's post-implementation.
What it means again is that for the next 2 years we have nothing to worry about it for that. So let's put that in the side, guys, okay?
I'm sorry, they are going to report back after implementation of the TPD, which insists upon
Yeah.
leak-free,
Exactly.
and there isn't going to be one.
So for the moment again, we're saved by their own stupidity, let's put it that way.
It is a monumental
Failure.
fusticlub, yes.
Yeah. But that is European Union for you guys. I don't. Is there anything else you want
I
me to?
think we've covered it because that proves the stupidity.
Yeah.
If ever there was any other proof needed, that's it. The fact that they are not going to come back with a specification for something that's got to be implemented by May the 20th of 2016, and they're not going to take it to the next stage, which is the invention of it, until June.
Yeah. Actually, report back on June, discuss it. So it's going to take them another 2 years, known European Union, to actually make it a law. But I'm going to say something now that I thought about it.
I'm sorry. If it wasn't so serious, it would be
I know.
it's
Unbelievable stuff. Because basically the guys that they voted on it, I mean, I did read a report, guys, that they actually voted for it, and then a gang of them, that the voters, they went outside to find a vape store in Brussels to actually see what it is, e-cig. They had no idea. They voted laws in the European laws, and they didn't know what it is. They never saw in their life. They didn't have a device. They had no idea. So that's how the Section 20 was created. I mean, it's a total joke.
It is.
Total joke. Okay, I'm going to say something else. You know the thing that they have voted for, which is the 2 ml tanks.
Yes.
Now, again, it's laughable because basically what is going to happen in the market is that the tanks, they will not change size. The only thing that the manufacturer has to do from China or Europe or whatever is basically have a 5 ml tank, and it has a line there, 2 mls, which basically, with a disclaimer that it will say that this tank was designed for 2 ml of liquid, nothing else. So again, it doesn't affect us. It's pretty much the same thing like the cars.
That's actually, I'm going to take issue with you there, because the text of the TPD says that the tank must have a volume of under 2 millilitres, not a capacity.
Right, you may be right.
I am. It has to have a volume of less than 2 millilitres. So, a tank that has a capacity of 2 millilitres has a volume greater than that.
Okay.
So they're outlawed.
Yeah.
It's craziness. Utter craziness. Giorgio, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Yes, there you go. Back to the studio. Hello. I actually saw that yesterday, that VT, and realised it was only on the left channel. So I created a new one with it on both channels, and then everything crashed yesterday, and I didn't change it around today. So there you go. I hope you found that quite entertaining. I do like Giorgio. He's very animated, and I'm going to go down at some point to the facility in Nottingham and film and see how they make their juice and stuff, so that should be all good. We're going to go into the ad break now, and when we come back, I've got a rather long VT for Mr. Kitson, so we are going to go over by about 10 minutes tonight. But since I wasn't here last night, I'm sure we can be forgiven, eh? Yes. So we'll see you in 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Oh yes. Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
Vapers, Dripper just got 40% bigger. So if you love discovering new e-liquids, tell Dripper what flavours you like and we'll send you 70ml of juice and at least 5 flavours. With a money back guarantee and free delivery anywhere in Europe, dripper.co.uk.
What's in this e-cig cloud? Harmless water vapour, right? Pretty much, yes. Compared to a lit cigarette, it's much safer than smoke. But it contains nicotine, and nicotine on its own isn't toxic and doesn't cause cancer. If you're worried about switching to vapour, here are some facts. No tar, no smoke, no burnt tobacco. Cooking your evening meal produces more than are found in exhaled vapour. Tobacco smoke contains toxins at very high levels, and vapour does not. And that vapour contains 6,000 times less carcinogens than cigarette smoke. Electronic cigarette vapour. There's nothing to be frightened of. The only dangerous electronic cigarette is a banned one.
And now it's back to Vaper Scene on Vapor Trails TV. Vaper Scene is sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids. And welcome back to part 3, yes, of this week's show. And as I mentioned before we went into the ads, we are going to be over by about 10 minutes. But this bit of VT that you were going to see last night, but you're going to see in a couple of seconds' time, is rather nice. It's Dave Kitson, and he's looking at a lovely little dripper. Yes, so we're going to go straight into it. So I'll see you on the flip side. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Dave. This is the Twisted Messes Comp-Vape collaborative venture that is the 13 Heavens and 9 Hells dripping atomizer. It's rebuildable, obviously. It's a dual coil job, and I picked it up in Harrogate last week at the Ecig Expo after spotting it on the stand run by Vape Emporium. I got talking to the lads, they told me all about it, but I've got to be honest, the real reason I bought this is because it looks great, and we'll be getting some close-ups of it in a minute. It's got a lovely little insignia, it's all very good, there's some meaning behind it, and as you can see, it makes clouds. We're going to cut to the desktop now, and I'll show you how what you get in the box and how I set it up. Right, so when you receive your 13 Heavens 9 Hells dripper, it'll come in a box. Probably looks a little bit like this one. The design on here is, well, I'll read from the website. It says that 13 Heavens 9 Hells is an ancient Mayan myth based on the Aztec calendar. According to a Zapotec prophecy, after 13 heavens of decreasing choice and 9 hells of increasing doom, the tree of life shall blossom with a fruit never before known in the creation, and that fruit shall be the new spirit of men. So you can't say that about every dripping atomizer, can you? More relevant, perhaps, it came about as a sort of collaborative venture between Comp-Vape and the Twisted Messes. So the El Cabron and the Twisted Messes, they kind of joined forces to come up with this version of the Twisted Messes atomizer. Inside the box, and I've been using this, and because I filmed like a sort of unboxing and initial setup, but decided I didn't like the VT, so I've gone back and done it again. So I've kind of put it back the way I think I found it. In the box you get a sort of pre-assembled but not coiled dripper. You get one of them, which I shall show you in a minute. You get this bit, you get that bit, and you get this bag of bits. In here are some O-rings and some little plastic insulators and stuff, which I guess are for the posts. I've been using it without need to open this bag so far, so I believe it's all spares. Let's have a look at the stuff that matters. So like I say, it comes pre-assembled looking like this, and I think that looks wonderful actually. It's got the little design, Aztec calendar design on it. And it comes with what I've been calling the exhaust pipe mouthpiece. You get some options though, so let's talk through that. The different sort of setups you can do first. Should point out that it says on the bottom there you've got 13 heavens engraved on the bottom, 9 hells on the other side. On the bottom tells you it's made by Comp-Vape and a serial number, and mine is 1344 it seems. So let's look at the different configuration options, if you like. We've got mine came with the black cover on it, the black sort of airflow restrictor and pretty bit. You can swap that for a copper one if you want. Purely cosmetic, they're identical as far as I can tell in terms of the way they're made, the black and the copper pieces. Like I say, I have been using this before and there's still a little bit of juice around, so let me just give that a quick wipe. So you can choose your colour. You saw the exhaust pipe drip tip, but that's screw threaded on, which is not a problem if you're using this one because you can drip through the top. So, but if you don't fancy that, you can either use the second collar that they've given you, and I'll explain why it's that funny shape in a minute, with a Delrin insert that they provide with a drip tip that was also in the box. So if you prefer a narrower, you can put any 510 drip tip you want in there. Alternatively, if you want a sort of medium diameter mouthpiece, and I've got to remember how to get this out of here now. Oh yeah, you have to get your finger under there and pull the Delrin piece out of. I have done this a few times, but of course now I've got a camera pointed at it, everything becomes more difficult. That basically just pulls out that Delrin piece in the middle, and you can put in this big plastic mouthpiece. So basically you can go with drip tip, medium sized Delrin, even slightly larger metal mouthpiece. I personally have been playing with this one for chasing clouds. All will become clear. So I'm just going to keep it set up like this just for the sake of this. If I pop the deck out from the main body of the atomizer, you can see, and this is one of the things that persuaded me to buy it, you've got 4 terminals. A lot, or some of the drippers that I own myself have only got one shared central terminal for the positive connection, and I find those a real pain. The four terminals I find really worth having. It just makes life so much easier. Now, pre-made some coils just a few moments ago to shove on here. They're nickel coils, NI 200. It's 0.3mm, which I think is 29 AWG, and I made it by the coils by wrapping them around this bolt. I'm not very good at it, so that's why I didn't do it on camera. We'd have been there for ages, and who wants to watch a guy on the internet swearing at pieces of metal? So I'm going to put this together, and I may very well speed this sequence up when you're watching it, because you've seen this 1,000 times by now, people coiling, and you've probably seen people who are much better than me at it as well. So I'll just get this built. Okay, so I'm not the neatest coiler in the world, and I do, like I say, I find this nickel wire much harder to work with than the Kanthal, and there's a lot of trial and error for me. I'm fairly new to the process. I'm getting better at it. I mean, it's not awful, I know, and if I wasn't filming this, I'd probably take a little bit more time to make that look prettier, but this will function. I'm hoping it's going to come out somewhere between 1.15 and 0.2 of an ohm with two coils of 12 wraps. I should have mentioned the reason I'm using the NI 200 wire, the nickel wire, is because I'm going to use it on a temperature controlled DNA 40 mod. Otherwise I'd have used Kanthal, which I find a lot easier to work with. So I'm just going to cut off some cotton now. This is Japanese cotton, and this is something else that I'm not that good at gauging, to be honest with you, so it tends to involve a bit of trial and error. So once again, I'll probably speed this sequence up. Right, so I've got something like that. Obviously these are open coils, so I just tried to make sure that they're fairly evenly spaced and everything. They're open coiled, with it being nickel, and me wanting to use them with temperature control. Just checking my connections are still good after all that faffing around. I think it looks okay, but give it a little tighten just in case. Yep, that's good, I think. That seems about right so far. Now, I was getting nervous about this bit because you can get this far, and with this nickel wire you over tighten the terminal and the wire snaps. I've had that happen once or twice. Right, so there's actually a fairly deep juice well. I probably should have showed you this before I put the wicks on, but there's fairly deep juice well, so I'm going to make sure that there's enough cotton here to actually reach the bottom of the well, and I think that should be plenty. And so I'm not really very clued up on this stuff at all, to be honest with you, but I'm trying to keep the coils fairly high so they'll line up with the air holes in the body of the atomizer, so we get good airflow across the coils. So we'll try to keep those reasonably high, and then making sure that the cotton obviously reaches the juice at that will well at the bottom. Sounds simple enough, doesn't it? So I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this thinking, my God, look at the state of that. But hey, I'm pretty confident it'll work, and it'll work pretty well. But I do acknowledge I need plenty more practice at coiling drippers. It's a fairly new thing for me. Right. It's coiled. So what I'm going to do is drop some juice on there, and I made a right mess of dripping that, so we'll just go for the other vaping essential, the piece of tissue paper. And let's make sure there's plenty of juice in that. Well, might gurgle a bit, but I reckon that'll probably work actually. So let's get it onto a mod. I'm going to stick it on this H-Cigar DNA 40 jobby that I picked up on holiday. So it's just I'm going to put the this main body of the dripper on with the air holes lined up with the coils like that. Still a little bit of juice left over from last time. Let's put it together and see what happens. So I'm going to put it on like sort of full tilt with the air holes all open like that, and put the big mouthpiece on. There we go. Let's see what we get. That seems to be working. The resistance on the coil is a lot lower than I expected it to be. Why that is, I do not know. So I might have a little tinker with it, but you get the general idea. I said I'd mention this funny shaped mouthpiece here. This is a heatsink, and I'll comment on it when I've been using it for a bit at the end of this VT. But the idea is that it dissipates the heat from the atomizer, which gets quite hot, from the mouthpiece. But that's what it looks like when it's all set up. To top it up with the big mouthpiece, you can drip down here, or you can unscrew whichever mouthpiece you're using. You'll be able to unscrew the heatsink bit. In fact, I'll give you a little close up of that while we're there. There, you get the idea, and you can drip in there, or, and I've got to be honest, this is what I've mostly been doing, is just pop the whole lot off. It just makes it easier, because who wants to unscrew something when you can just do that and drip, and we're good. Right, let's talk about what it's like after a bit of use. Well, I've been using this thing now for, well, all day, probably about, just looking at the clock, about 10 hours since I set it up, and I've been using it all day, nothing else. And as you can see, it has no problem producing clouds whatsoever. even in this light you can see that it is producing some rather nice clouds. Now, if flavour is your thing, however, it ain't great for that with this big bucket exhaust pipe fitting on it. So I've just unscrewed that, and I've got the other top with the little Delrin piece and the drip tip that came in the kit, actually in the box. So I'm just going to close the air holes down a little bit. Configured like this, you get a bit more flavour. As you can see, it still produces very well. Not as well as with the air holes fully open and the big exhaust pipe on the top, obviously. But still quite a respectable cloud that. You can certainly taste it. But the flavour is not the best that I've had. I would say that actually, and this could be the way I've coiled it, so as they say, your mileage may vary, but I'm actually finding I'm getting better flavour from one of those pre-made OCC coils in a Kanga sub-tank. So just my observation, could be the way I've done my coil and wicking and all the rest of it. I am a bit of a novice at this, but I'm finding that if you want to sit and enjoy flavour, it's probably not the best atomizer I've got. For clouds, it very well could be. It's certainly on a par with the Mutant X version 4. However, the flavour doesn't seem to be quite as good as the Mutant X version 4. What I will say is, whichever top you're using on it, whichever mouthpiece, drip tip, whatever, this little heatsink idea really does work, because this thing gets blooming hot. I've had it at 40 volts and set to 230, I think. 230 degrees on the temperature control, centigrade that is. So that's about 430 or something, is it, Fahrenheit? I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. But it's getting blooming hot, and the body of this mod, it's currently sitting on a Ecig DNA 40, and it gets really hot, but this does its job. Even with the metal mouthpieces, you just don't feel the heat on your lips. It's so that heatsink thing works a treat. I think, you know, this is a good one for playing. If you want to make clouds, this is a good atomizer. It's retailing on Vape Emporium website for $59.99. So it's not the cheapest dripper you're ever going to get, but it is rather nice. I mean, it's an ornament, to be honest with you. And I dare say somebody who's a bit more au fait, a bit more proficient with the dripper could probably get this to taste a little better than I can as well. But that's about all I've got to say on it. The ultimate question, would I pay 60 quid for this atomizer? Well, yes I would, because I think it looks great and it works. But if you're really picky and you really want to enjoy your flavour, then I might switch to something else, personally. I would also say that if you're worried about how much you spend on juice, don't set this up for clouds. Honestly, you drip, you take a few vapes, you drip again. I've got through like a lot of juice today. It certainly makes clouds. Anyway, that's all I've got to say on the 13 Heavens 9 Hells from Comp Vape. I like it. See you next time.
Yes, that was Mr. Dave Kitson with his lovely bit of reviewing there. Looks rather nice, isn't it? I did see it at Ecig Expo, but obviously it was in the box. It wasn't all built up. Very quickly, Ryhdian, what did you think of that?
That's got a massive drip tip on it. It's even bigger than the Tough Cap one that I have here. So that's just huge. No wonder it produces so much cloud and sucks in so much air.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also goes
Exhausted.
through so much juice as well. I must pick up a decent dripper at Ecig Expo, not Ecig Expo, Vaper Expo, this one at the weekend. So if you are going to go down there on Saturday, come and see us. We're in the Bloggers Corner. We have run over quite a bit tonight. I wasn't on last night, so fair dues. Hey, there you go. So don't forget, tomorrow night it is, being Thursday, Dave Dawn with the Haze Hour and Keith as well. And then Monday it'll be probably a Melly, and then Tuesday, fingers crossed, it'll be me with whoever, I don't know. Probably telling you a lot about what happens this weekend. Don't forget, you do have our Wi-Fi radio, which is on now and every night of the week. It just remains me to thank Ryhdian for coming on tonight. Say good night, Ryhdian.
Good night.
Yes.
Catch you all next week.
He was going to rant a little bit, but we've run out of time. We've run over time. So if you come into Vaper Expo, we'll see you there. If not, you will see me next Tuesday. Yes. Tatty bye. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.